Still waiting for some more time?
No, let's get started.
Let's get started. So I will start. I'll just try to share my screen first.
Okay, so meanwhile, Liba is doing that. Let me inform you guys, this session has been brought to us by QFAS. A big thanks to the QFAS team for arranging such amazing speakers for us. And Liba, over to you for the evening.
Just give me a second meanwhile I just set it up. Let me know
Yeah.
once you're able to see it.
Yeah, we can see the screen.
You can. Okay. So a very wonderful evening to all of you. And at the outset, I want to thank you all for taking time out to come and attend this webinar. So what I would like to do today is walk you through the career opportunities in commerce sector. To start with, a brief introduction of myself. I am Liba Titus, a qualified chartered accountant with over 15 years of experience in the field of internal audit and risk consulting. I'm currently heading the internal controls department at a pharma major in Hyderabad. What I do in this role is report to the leadership teams, that is the highest level of management in this company, on the internal financial control status and how well these controls are doing in the organization. Prior to joining Novartis, I have worked with the advisory practice at the Big Four Deloitte and with the Enterprise Risk Management Service at Infosys. Personal level, married with two beautiful kids, settled in Hyderabad. So that's about me. And moving on, the way I'm looking at this session of 1 hour is split it into 45 minutes and 15 minutes. I can walk you through the presentation for the first 45 minutes and then followed by 15 minutes of Q&A. In this 45 minutes, first, I would want to focus on certain aspects of career selection, how well, what are the certain things that you need to consider while you make those career selections, what are the basics you need to consider. Then moving on to the opportunities the commerce sector presents to you, and then focusing a bit on the most attractive profession in commerce sector, which is invariably the chartered accountancy course. So how to go ahead with the career selection? So the most important aspect of it is career selection has to be always by choice and not by chance. So it's a lifelong process most of the time, and a very important one in your life. So it is very important to think wisely while selecting the right career and arriving at the right decision. So the process of choosing a career is very introspective. You have to look within you. It is a very important task. So it can't be something that you take in fun. So you have to regularly introspect yourself, challenge yourself before you get forward and make these decisions in your life. The important thing to consider here is you have to assess yourself. What are my capabilities? Where do I rank myself in certain parameters? Am I good with numbers? Am I good with language? Does literary activities, enthuse me more, or it is, the biology part of it, the human body, the anatomy, is that what enthuses me more? You have to assess yourself probably at a very regular intervals of time. And that starts pretty early in life, say from 9th, 10th class onwards. And that is the stages of, different stages of career choices, career selections that you make. It starts there. The second thing that you need to look at is your interest. What is your interest? What do you want to do? What do you feel excited about doing? And not, literally dragging yourself. Now, when you look back at your, 11th and 12th kind of classes, there would be definitely certain subjects probably which, you felt like you dragged yourself to those classes. Least interested, you do not know what the teacher is talking about, you don't know what you're listening. So that is definitely not your interest. And then there would be certain subjects which will draw a lot of attention from yourself. The interest will come within you and you will be like excited to attend those classes. And that is where your interest lies. Then another thing that you need to consider is your skills. There are certain natural skills in you. And when those natural skills are utilized in the course of a career, that is when you shine the most. You do your best when those natural skills of yours come to play. Then obviously there are a lot of priorities. You have to prioritize your choices. You will enjoy working only if you're comfortable and you have accessibility to the facilities you need. Say for example, you are basically, you do not like traveling much, you like being at your home. But if you choose a career which involves a lot of traveling, you will definitely not be enjoying it. Then priorities can also be time, certain financial liabilities that we have, or financial setup we have, maybe you need to break a career in sooner than later. So your career selections that you make depends on a lot of things. Work environment is also another important criteria. You may be a outgoing person, you may not be the one who likes to restrict yourself in the four walls. You are one who want to go out, meet people, talk to them, enjoy outdoors. Then your career selection needs to be accordingly. But if you are one who doesn't like mingling with people a lot, who prefers keeping to self, it's not about right or wrong, it's about what you are, and that is the assessment you need to perform. Satisfaction at work is a very important criteria. So when you choose a career, it should give you a sense of satisfaction every day. When you get up and you go to work, you should not feel like you're literally dragging yourself to work. You should be enthusiastic about it, because after 15 years I can very clearly tell you that unless you are enthusiastic about what you are doing, you will not be able to give it your best shot. And you may not know it right now, but that is why I said at the beginning that career selection, it is a lifelong process. And hence, what enthuses you, what is that you derive satisfaction in, you may not know it in a day. It's not like the eureka moment that you get up one morning and say that, oh, this is what interests me. It happens over a period of time. So you have to understand what satisfies yourself, and that is how you need to make those career choices. And then, needless to say, you need to know your career options. If you have already picked up a stream, then you need to know that what are the opportunities that are available to me in this stream. It may be social work, it may be engineering, it may be you may be seeing yourself in the corporate ladder. So if you're seeing yourself in a corporate, then what are the opportunities, what are the streams that are available to me? And hence, so on and so forth. There are so many questions that you need to consider before you make that selection. You should do a SWOT analysis. That is, what is my strength, what is my weakness, what are the opportunities available to me? Ask yourself questions like, what are your key values, what is that which is most important for me? What are the soft skills that I possess? Is it time management? Is it communication is my strength? The confidence, the problem solving? So what, which of these skills is that you possess? And probably, it may not be as methodical as the writing it down, ticking it off. That may not be a course, but when you make the, finally, after having chosen a stream, if you want to make those career selections, you need to answer these questions. So if you're not good with communications and you end up in a communication departments of a company because probably you picked up a course like that, then you will never be able to give your 100%. And why? Because there will be people alongside who would have chosen this because of their 100% genuine interest in it. And if they come, they are giving 120% of it, and that is where you will lose. So it is important to understand, self-assess, what are the capabilities that I possess, what are the technical skills that I have. I am bored of numbers or I love numbers. I am bored of literature or I love literature. What is it? And then, like I said before, there are certain natural aptitudes that you will have. And that is also introspection. That is why I said in the beginning that, career planning or career selection, it's a lifelong process and needs introspection. And this is where the introspection comes in play. Like, what is the natural aptitude that I have? Am I a team player? Am I a solo player? Do I like talking a lot, or I'm better off left to myself? So what are those natural aptitudes you like? Your personality type. What are you exactly interested in? Coding, technology, or going on writing, or is it medicine or a design? Whatever it is. But at some point of time, through a period of time, you need to think about it. You need to do an introspection around it and then come to a decision. as to what is the career that I want to choose. And that may be very broad. You may not, once you do these kind of answers, these questions, you will not be able to pinpoint on a particular career. But what you will get here is an area in which you want to work. Like, if you are a very communication oriented person, you know that I want to be in communication. So you pick up a course, say BA in communication, and then there is a complete world of opportunities in front of you when you take that course. It can be journalism. You may end up in a communication department of a particular corporate, and so on and so forth. So SWOT analysis, when you do this introspection, this you do only when you are picking up or choosing an area of work and not exactly the exact opportunity that you are pinpointing to. There is certain basics that you need to work on. You have to be consistent. Generally with respect to education, you are all probably studying right now. That's my understanding of the audience here. You're all studying. When you're studying, it cannot happen that, oh, I'll take my first year light and I will work hard only in my fourth year. No, that's not how it is going to happen. You have to be consistent, persistent in your behavior. Because once you come to the corporate, if you are choosing corporate to be your area of work, then it's not about how you performed during the last quarter of a year. No, that is not what counts. What counts is how was your performance throughout the year. And the same applies in your education also. While you are studying also, you have to be consistent, a go-getter. Be consistent in your approach. There is no place for sloppy behavior anywhere. So you have to be consistent. What you need to focus on is your weakness. And that is where, again, the introspection comes in play. You have picked up a particular area of work. You know that this is my area of career. And then you need to, kind of understand in this area, what all do I need? And like you have picked up 5-6 things, and out of these 5-6 things, 3 are your clear strengths, but there would be this 1 or 2 thing which is your weakness. And you need to give time to identify that weakness. You need to identify those weaknesses, and you have to focus on your weakness. When you focus on your weakness, there can be 2 aspects. 1, working on that weakness to making it your strength. And the second way we look at it is accepting your weakness and playing on your strength. So these are little more hard going facts. You may take time to digest it, but you basis again your personality type. You have to determine what you want to do with your weakness. You want to work hard on that area so that you eliminate that weakness and make it into a strength, or it is that you accept your weakness and you play on your strength. Either of the strategies work, but what is important is you need to identify your weakness. You should be self-aware. Life is not fair, so you may not get everything that you want. So you may wish to be at the top college, you may wish to be in the top institute in the country or outside the country, but you may not end up there. It's possible. It's not that you get always what you want. What you need at that point of time is acceptance. Acceptance of what you have received. You have to strive for the best, but may happen you do not reach there. Then what? You have to accept it. You have to accept it and move on and do the best in what is available to you. You have to decide your platform. What is a platform on which I want to work? What is the platform on which I want to play? And these things will all come when there is a lot of thought process that is going on in your career selection. Always remember, your career has to be your choice. Believe me, it makes a difference when it is by choice and not by chance. Ultimately, it's the passion which makes all the difference. You cannot be giving 50% of your energies to what you're doing, because then the results will also be 50%. So you have to be passionate about what you're doing. You have to give your 120% to what you're doing. You cannot be like, okay, today I do little, tomorrow I may do little more. Okay, I have to do this, so I do it. I really have no interest in doing it. You cannot build careers that way. It's your passion. You have to bring passion to your career. Why, certain movie makers, certain filmmakers stand a cult above the others? When we think about, say, Ram Gopal Verma or Karan Johar, if you are a fan of Karan Johar movies, why do they stand a cult above the others? Because they bring passion. They bring passion to what they do, and certain others may not be bringing as much of passion. So it's a passion which makes all the difference. You should feel energized, enthused, creative about what you're doing. You should feel that passion, that yes, I need to do it, and only then you can get your best to it. Career selection should never be based on the money it brings. Focus on your work and money will definitely come. It follows. Never, most of the times I would say that, if you make career selections on the basis of remuneration that is attached to that particular profession, you will not be able to put passion in there. And ultimately, in a career, what makes a difference is the passion that you bring to it. So it's very important that you should focus on your skills, you should focus on your work, you should focus on what you're doing, play by your abilities. Money will follow. Money should never be the criteria of making the selections. Coming back to the core of today's webinar, why study commerce? The basic understanding or the general feeling of the people is that students who take commerce stream have a very thoughtful outlook on the outside world. They understand a lot about what is going out, around them. When we talk about, say, trade policies, when we talk about taxation laws, when we are talking about a lot of other industrial policies, they have a take on the subject. They are able to understand and grasp as to what is going around them. Commerce stream of late has become a very popular choice of, post class 10, because it is also because the kind of opportunities, the world of opportunities it throws you into, because the people who pursue commerce, they bring both success as well as financial security. So there is so much of opportunities around you. There is so much of, once you pick up this, there is so much around you. There is so much that you can do in this field, that success alongside financial security comes in pretty easily. I think I was reading some numbers and it says that, in last around 10 years, the pickup in commerce has been very, very high. At least when I was a kid, I'm talking about probably 20 years back, when we were in school, commerce was the last option. All the toppers would take science, and then there would be humanities, and then there would be commerce. But the trend has changed a lot since then. And we see a lot of toppers in class 10th and picking up commerce by their own choice because they want to make a presence in the outside world felt. The entrepreneurs, the CFOs and CEOs, they want to get into that corporate ladder and make their presence felt, make their name there. And that is why they pick up or they opt for commerce as a stream. It opens up your mind towards money, financial prudence, financial management, and assessment of financial worth. You will basically see that students who have opted for commerce will be always talking about, what's the net worth of an individual. Ambani's or the Tatas and Birlas, they would be always looking at the net worth. They understand what the net worth of this individual is and what it actually means. They understand aspects of financial management. When we say that, the quarter-on-quarter profits of a company has gone up or has come down because of so and so reason, because of change in foreign trade policy, or change in certain industrial policy, change in taxation policies, the common student understand what it exactly means. And then needless to say, Commerce helps in the growth of industries and business. Without commerce, the industry will find it very difficult to keep with the pace of production. It helps to the way the whole structure. I do not know right now what, and this being one-way communication, probably I do not know what you understand when we say the word commerce. But commerce, the whole subjects behind the commerce is not just commerce. There are a lot of subjects that come under it, and those all subjects is what contributes to the growth of industry business. All of you would be doing a lot of e-commerce activities. And when I say e-commerce activities, there wouldn't be any one of you who wouldn't be ordering something from, say, an Amazon, or from, say, Flipkart. Those are all e-commerce platforms. Now, what works behind that? There is a lot of technology, of course, how those platforms are working, how the orders are received. But a big aspect of it is the commerce, is the finance part of it. How much orders do I need to get in a day? Okay, the simplest question to be asked is, in Amazon, certain shipments do not have delivery charges while certain others do. Now that is commerce, because certain service providers or certain product providers have decided that it doesn't make economic sense to them if they have to ship a good free of charge, while certain others have decided that it makes them a lot of sense to deliver the goods free of charge. Now, all these things, where it ends up is the finances, is the commerce part of that particular industry. When you get into commerce, you study commerce, you're basically getting into the details of all this. Where exactly, where does the supply chain start from? Where is the supply of goods and services start from? You would again say Big Basket or Flipkart will not do delivery in certain areas. Why do you think they don't do delivery in certain areas? That is because it is not profitable for them. The moment you hear the word profit, it is getting back to commerce. A commerce student will understand these terms in general in the outside world when you pick up these subjects as subjects. And that is why, the world feels that the children who are studying commerce or those who have picked up careers in commerce have a very thoughtful outlook on the outside world. They have a view. I'm not saying others do not have, but they have a view on these things. When this guy can give me free delivery, why can't this guy give me free delivery? They will have a voice on those economic and financial terms. And this is what you gain when you study commerce. Now, what does it mean? Basically, when you say the word, I was looking for the definition of commerce. The definition of commerce basically says purchase and sale of goods and services. That is the literal meaning of commerce. So that is like in the most understood terms, like we were discussing earlier, when we are buying things on an e-commerce platform, or when you are going to a grocery shop and buying your groceries, or you are going to a supermarket and buying stuff, or malls and buying stuff, there is a purchase and sale, both of goods and services. The person standing at the store is selling you and you are buying it. You are buying both goods and services. So goods are the things which you can feel, services are the thing which you receive for your satisfaction. So your saloon, we say it's services, saloon services, and so on and so forth. There are a lot of service sectors that has opened up now. So study of commerce basically means, in the layman terms or in the simplest term, is a study of purchase and sale of goods and services. What are the various factors that go behind this simple thing of me selling you a good in, say, 100 rupees, and somebody else able to sell it in 90 rupees, and you going there to buy it in 90 rupees. So the complete study of how some people are able to sell it for 100 while others are able to sell it for 90, and how consumers prefer to go to the one who is selling it at 90. The study of this is what entails commerce. And this is the simplest definition of commerce. It cannot be simpler than this. When you dig deeper, there are subjects like economics, accountancy, business studies, there is auditing, which is my field. Then there is business finance, then there is law, there is business communication. Yeah, communication again comes here also. So these are all the subjects which is included in commerce stream. So when you pick up commerce as a your career, you should not just look at certain aspects of it. You should not just say that, I don't like science, so I pick up commerce. You will fail terribly if that is the basis in which you have picked up commerce. You need to have real interest of numbers. Many people say numbers, but I believe it is more than numbers, about the processes, about the financial aspect, about the economic outlook of what is going around. If you have punch in for that, only then you should pick up commerce. It should not be like, I think commerce subjects are very easy, so I'm picking up commerce. I'll see later what I want to do. +2 will be easy. Maybe if you have picked up your BCom, can be easy. But after that, when you get deeper and deeper into it, unless you have real interest for the subjects, you will not be able to succeed. What is, simple things like what is economics? It's just a term, economics. But it's a very detailed science. It is a science that deals with the study of production, distribution, consumption of goods and services. It will basically tell you how much should I make, how much should I sell, for what should I sell, when I will be profitable, when it will sell for what amount. That is all the study that comes in the part of economics. What is accountancy? You have made so many things, right? I mean, you decided for how much will I get my raw material, how many goods will I make, for what will I sell. Now, all these needs to be recorded. And that is the science of accounting. And then business studies, something like, how much profit did I make? How much should I produce to make how much profit? How does the outlook for me looks like for say next 5 years? Will I break even? And this is all what you study when you pick up commerce as a stream. Most of the students who pick up commerce, they want to take the next step in the business. They want to set up their own firms. They want to set up their own industries, and that is the first step, the initial thought in their mind when they pick up commerce, or they see themselves in corporate ladders, in the corporate rooms, they see, and that is when they pick up commerce. So be very thoughtful. Analyze yourself. Like I said in the beginning, you need to introspect. Do I really like these subjects before you pick up commerce as your stream? I am here in this field for 15 years, and it can be as dull as possible and as exciting as possible. Difference is you. If you are one who likes it, I mean, there will not be anything as exciting as commerce. But if you do not carry that real passion for the subject, it cannot be as dull as this. So commerce is the new way of modern life. There is nothing without commerce. Every time you log into Amazon.in, please remember you are getting into the commerce field. What are the benefits? Now let's translate it to the real commercial terms, that is looking into the benefits of a career in commerce. Now, there is a plethora of career opportunities that is available for commerce students. And why so? Because ours is a growing economy. Our economy, Indian economy, to be specific, and world at large, is growing at a steady rate. All of you would be knowing that economy of India is characterized as a developing market. In fact, it is said to be the 5th largest economy in the world. When we look from a long-term perspective of Indian economy, the outlook remains very positive. There has been a lot of commerce that we have been doing with other countries, and all this opens a world of opportunities in front of students who are taking commerce. This share of service sector has been ever increasing in the GDP of our company. And when I say share of, when you look at a product sector, it is heavy investment. A product sector, when I say product sector, it basically means something that you can touch with your hand. You can touch the pen with your hand. So that is the product sector. When I say service sector, it is like services being rendered to you. That can be, say, like technology services. Somebody who is giving you software, software maintenance. And the share of service sector has, something like hotels and restaurants, insurance, real estate, all these are service sector. The service sector contribution to our economy has been at an ever increasing scale. And that is also one reason, the presence has been increasing, and hence the opportunities have been increasing. And that is also the reason why commerce has picked up as a stream. Like I said, the cross-country implication, India as a country has global trade agreements with almost all top markets of the world, which opens our trade channels, which means there is a continuous commerce which is going on between India and these countries, which opens up another world of opportunities for us. There is a wide choice of careers. It's not just, you become a CFO, if that is what you think, or you become an auditor. That is not what you think. You can pick up finance, become a CFO. You can pick up auditing, become an auditor. You can pick up taxation. You can become a tax consultant. You can become a business analyst. When you open, CNBC, etc., there are these people who are telling you about the economic news, right? Those are all qualified people in the stream of commerce. They understand the economics, and that is why they are able to speak so eloquently on those channels. And that is the wide array of career that is present in the field of commerce. It is not, in a layman term or at a very basic level, people think commerce means MBA, and then I'm a financial analyst, or commerce means CA, and then I'm an auditor. But that is not what it is. There is so much more to it. You can be a strategist, you can be a financial analyst, you can be an economist, and so on and so forth. The world of opportunities is unlimited. And the growth prospects that are attached to it, it doesn't stop at a place. This field, in my 15 years of experience, I have seen it only growing. When I started, when I finished my CA course, and I entered into the career, I picked up internal audit as my field. While very frankly telling you, when I was picking up commerce, I had no idea of what internal audit was. I knew I have to do CA, I will become auditor, is what I thought. But auditor can again be external auditor and internal auditor. And then I got into internal audit. And when I got into internal audit, I got into further specifics of it. And that is the area when I said I work for internal controls. Now that was an area, very frankly speaking, I wasn't aware of when I entered this, because there was an act by name Sarbanes-Oxley, SOX we say, which came when I was just entering into this field. And then there was a boom of internal controls career, so on and so forth, with all the financial frauds, with the corporates involved that has been happening around us. These regulations, more and more regulations are coming into place. And these regulations, though can be strenuous for companies, are only increasing career opportunity for commerce students. Then if there is a lot of option where you can start your own professional practices. If you are a person who thinks I cannot work for anyone, I just want to work for myself, commerce opens you the door of opportunities for that also. You can practice for yourself. And when you practice, again, there are so much more to available to yourself. You can be an independent auditor. You can be an independent tax consultant. You can be an independent risk consultant. You can be an independent strategist. It is never ending. It just goes. And as you get into the stream and get deeper into it, you will realize that each field is a niche. Commerce is not something which will just, you will be able to take a grab of it in that one single word called commerce. There is so much more to it. There is such niche areas. Business development, acquisitions and mergers. You hear about mergers all over, right? This company has taken this company has invested so much in this company. That is all about acquisitions and mergers. And there is one specific field which gives you courses around acquisitions and mergers, which gives you trainings, upskills you in that, and give you a whole lot exciting career in that field. And that is the kind of opportunities that are available. Needless to say, like I said, follow your passion, focus on your work, and money will follow. Commerce right now presents, careers in commerce right now present very attractive compensation packages, which are pretty well and high in benchmarking from an industry perspective. So there is nothing that can stop you from taking a career in commerce if you are actually interested there. Certain major courses, now if you have decided with all these things that yes, I want to take up a career in commerce, what should you be studying? Of course, CA tops the list because one course that everyone understands is CA, Chartered Accountancy for Commerce. So that is definitely a course that you can pick. Then there is Cost and Work Accountancy, which is regulated by Institute of Cost and Work Accountants of India. These are specialists who work in the manufacturing setup, like it says, cost accountant. They work on the costing of a good. I say this watch, how much should it cost? That will be decided by this cost accountant. Sometimes we wonder, right? I can get a watch for 1,500 and I can get a watch for 1.5 lakhs also. Why? Who determines it? There are so many cost accountants who are sitting there and working on how much a good should be priced. And that is a very interesting area, believe me, where you can sit and work on what should be the price a person should be paying to get my goods. And I work in pharma sector, and there are drugs which cost millions of rupees also. Maybe it may come as a surprise to you, but do your Google once you go back. And there are really, really expensive drugs, medicines available in the market. Those are for very, very niche therapeutic areas, that is the area of diseases. Do a little bit of search if you are interested to find out why they are costed that way. And that is where cost and work accountancy comes into place. Company Secretaries course, regulated by ICSI, that is Institute of Company Secretaries of India. Every company, by the virtue of Companies Act of India, need to have a company secretary. Those are the people, when you look at, I don't know how many of you have actually seen it, but if you look at the final accounts or the annual report of a company, it will be signed off by a company secretary. How prestigious, right? You open the annual report of, say, the Reliance Industries or the Tata companies, Tata group of companies. You open the annual report, there will be addressed by the CEO, by the chairman, there will be addressed by the CEO, there will be addressed by the CFO, and then there will be this letter which has to be mandatorily signed by a company secretary. It's so prestigious for me. I personally feel it is extremely prestigious. CA, that is Chartered Accountancy, CWA, that is Cost and Work Accountancy, and CS are actually regulated by a Government of India Act. So basically these three bodies work under the Government of India. They are slightly autonomous, but there is a Chartered Accountant Act which governs how the CA course happens, how they should come out, and a lot of other finer details around it. So these three institutes are governed by the Government of India. Then you can be a financial analyst. There is an institute called ICFI, Institute of Chartered Financial Analysts of India, which will give you the financial analyst course. These are the people who do analysis. When I say analysis, it can be analysis like there is a mobile of Samsung, there is a mobile of iPhone. They will do the analysis when a new product is coming. They will say that, okay, why should iPhone be priced like this? And then they will carry on the analysis and they say that, okay, if you price it like this, your good may not hit the market, may not be perceived well in the market. Or if you price it this way, the penetration rate may not be great enough. So this is all the analysis. This is only 1.01% of the type of analysis the financial analysts do. Insurance and risk management is another field. You heard of insurance, right? Almost, if not all of you, definitely all your parents will have insurance of some or the other kind. Now, Who decides how much of the premium you should be paying for a particular policy that you have picked up from a company's perspective? And when the policy expires, how much money should be paid back? There are a lot of insurance and risk management professionals who get into that area. Law, of course, there is company law, there is business law, and so many more laws to gobble up and digest in this field of commerce. Research and teaching definitely is something that can be picked up. We have uh, uh, very well trained professionals who are teachers and well recognized in the society. Amartya Sen is a well-known economist. So, yeah, and so on and so forth. So there are so many people whom we know very well who have probably done a lot of research and training in commerce stream and got the name for themselves. Banking is is a field in itself. I mean, it's a sea of opportunity in itself. In banking, there will be personal banking, commercial banking, there will be branch banking, there is a whole world of loans and mortgages, underwriting. It's again a sea of world. These are all the names that you see here are just the tip of the iceberg, and there is so much more to explore it. I would just want to probably delve a little more and get a deeper into chartered accountancy course, because the CA, CWA, CS are all equally important courses, but people somehow have this special feeling for CA. They say that if you have picked up commerce, probably CA is something that you should be doing the best. That takes you to the creamy layer. Okay, so I would just spend a few minutes here. There is a site, www.icai.org, where you will get all details about this course as to how to register for the course, what are the different stages that you need to do. Basically, if you can register for the course even before you appear for your 12th class examination. So that is the foundation route. Saves a lot of time. So what typically happens here is you write your foundation exams, just after you have written your 12th class exam, and then you go on to do your intermediate and final, or P1 and P2 as they used to call it. And then you have an articleship training for 3 years. So once you are done with your intermediate studies and you have qualified the exam, and before you write the final exams, you have this intermittent period in which you have to do articleship training. And it is as good as working, but this is where you pick up the basic skills of commerce, accounting, auditing, and probably also a time when you reflect on what do I exactly want to pick up. Do I want to become an auditor? Do I want to become a risk consultant? Do I want to do taxation? Because during this articleship training, your trainer, your chartered accountant will be exposing you to all these areas of work. And this is what lays down the groundwork. Intermediate has a total of 6 subjects which you need to clear, and final has a total of 8 subjects which you need to clear. There is little typicalities or peculiarities. You have to pass in each subject, and all the subject put together, you need to get minimum 50% of marks. So there are these criterias which you need to get through before you actually clear the final CA exam. It is termed as one of the toughest exams in the country. But like I said in the beginning, if your passions are at right places, and nothing is tough for you. Some important tips: if you finally choose that you have to do CA, there are certain habits that you need to keep in mind. Like I said, it is considered as one of the toughest courses in the world, in the country for sure. And it is. I mean, I would not want to take away anything from it. What it needs is perseverance and consistency. If you go back to one of the first slides we referred to, uh, being consistent is something that is a must for this course. So you cannot say like, my exam is coming in 6 months. Every 6 months these exams happen. You can pick and choose when you want to write those exams. My exam is coming in 6 months. First 3 months, I'm going to relax, and last 3 months, I will study. At least for this course, that is definitely not going to work. You have to be very consistent. You have to work back. My exams are in the month of May. So exams happen typically in the month of May and November. My exams are in the month of May. So I need to finish my syllabus by say March, because April and May are totally for my revision. You need revision 1, revision 2, revision 3 before you finally appear for the exams. So you have to plan very properly. If I have to do 8 subjects in 6 months time, you have to plan really well and abide by the plan. You know, you have to set that timetable for yourself and follow it very, very diligently if you want to have a successful shot at your exam. There has to be, like I said, revision 1, revision 2, revision 3 is minimum required to get through these exams. You have to have develop a regular habit of revision. You should take as many mock tests as available. There will be a lot of mock papers available. Previous year question papers are available. There is something called suggested answers, which the institute issues. You should go through them, look at them. Once you have covered your syllabus, while you're doing your revision, important is you should take those previous year question papers and try to solve them, because you have covered all your syllabus. You should be able to typically be able to solve that paper, and you have to do it very regularly. You cannot afford to skip topics as far as this course go. You cannot say that, okay, I will do 5 chapters, I will leave 2 of it. It doesn't work. You have to cover the entire syllabus, and you have to have a very thorough understanding of the concept. Leaving apart even one concept can prove very dangerous to you. Like I said, there is this concept of passing each subject plus getting to an aggregate. So that makes it a little tricky. You should be thinking like passing, we will easily pass, 40 is the passing mark, but sometimes reaching there becomes very difficult. You have to manage and utilize your time well. And that is very needless to say. A lot of people who study for these courses, and there is a lot of jokes around also with this profession, which, kind of says that, you basically hold yourself in for 6 months and you come out only after the exams are over. So that is how efficiently you have to use your time. It again depends a lot on capabilities, on what kind of person you are, etc., etc. But it is very important to learn to manage and utilize your time very well. You have to note down all the important points, keep revising them, identify your weakness, that is, I'm not very good with this particular topic, and revise it many more times. Careers after CA, once you have completed your CA, like I mentioned before, you can step into the world of finance, which is planning of how much profit should the company be making, what is my top line number, what is my bottom line number, what is my profits. That is where finance, all this money that is coming in and going out, somebody needs to make a record of it. That is what accounts do. The finance has done a job, said that I want this much of money if I need to sustain. Accounts has done its job by recording all of it, that this much came and this much went out. There has to be someone who checks it, that it is all written well, and that is the job of audit. Tax, I don't think that I need to say much about it. Taxation in itself, individual taxation, corporate taxation, all of it is a field in itself. And then you can be a consultant or an advisor, a business consultant, a business advisor, strategist. I just want to end it with one word, that if you pick up commerce as a stream of your career, universe just opens it for you. Thank you. And I think now we can open for questions.
Yeah. So we have a couple of questions, Leela. Okay. So one of the mentees is asking, can you please give light on other courses like CFA, CFT, and CRM?
Yeah, so like I said, major courses, there are a lot of courses that are available. CFA is Chartered Financial Analyst. So there is ICFI Institute of Chartered Financial Analyst of India, which provides those courses about CFA. Since CRM is mostly about risk management, there are certain courses that are available around that. In fact, ICAI, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India itself, have certain courses around insurance management, risk management, etc. So you can pick up any of those courses. And they also, like I said, these are all a niche streams in themselves and opens a world of opportunities in each of these streams. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Okay, so next question is, I am studying BBA third year with a specialization in finance. How much of a threat do people doing CA, CMA, CFA, and CS pose to me if I choose to select a career in finance? Especially, can I try to pursue a career in chartered accountancy, cost and work accountancy, company secretary without doing these courses?
Like I said, CA, CWA, CS, both are all the three work under the Government of India. Basically, what happens in these three courses, you get certified by this institute, which has the validity of Government of India. So if you want to work in the capacity of a chartered accountant, you need to be certified by the institute. So, definitely, if a company decides that I need a chartered accountant, they will go only for a chartered accountant. A BBA finance, MBA finance can be picked up, but they will not be able to work in the capacity of a chartered accountant. So it definitely depends on what you want to do or which field you want to pick up further.
Okay. So yeah, another question is, can we jump to financial career after engineering?
Sorry, financial?
Career after engineering?
I have people, in fact, in my own team, I have had people who have done MBA finance after engineering and are doing pretty well. So nothing stops you. If you think you can pick up subjects, financial subjects, even after completing your engineering and your real passion lies in there, yes, you can definitely do that. There's no stopping of it. It is open.
Okay. So Parth is asking, what is the probability of getting into top MBA colleges after doing BCom and CFA?
When you say top MBA colleges, if you refer to IIMs, if you are referring to, yes, you definitely have very high chances. I do not think IIM stops graduates from picking up MBA. The general trend we see is probably engineering from MBA in IIM. That's a trend we see, but that is not something that is cast in stone. So if you are very sure that you are going to pursue a career in commerce and you want to do it in the premier management institutes of India, there is no stopping. You can definitely do that.
Okay. So yeah, what are your views on investment banking?
It's a very interesting area if you are typically the person who loves money. If dollars, euros, and all interest you, and you want to see about how much money each corporate is holding and how much money should be invested there, and how much it is good for a company to retain or reinvest. Yes, you are the person meant for this career. And there are a lot of investment banking companies in India right now, and that is a huge area which has come up, providing a lot of opportunities. DBS, UBS are all, to name a few.
Okay. So what are the best companies to intern in after doing MBA in finance?
That again depends on which is the area. If you're looking for, if you would have asked for, CA, where to do my internship after CA, I would have definitely said go ahead with Big Four, which is the Ernst & Young, PwC, KPMG and Deloitte. These are called the Big Four companies, which opens up a world of opportunity for any person in the finance and commerce stream. So that can be a first pick, because there you are exposed to what do really interest me and which area I really want to go further in, because that is the kind of exposure the Big Fours give. But if you think you are a guy or you are a person who is meant for, say, a manufacturing setup, you should prefer, taking up internship in, say, companies like ITC, PepsiCo, where you will be exposed to that manufacturing setup, about how the goods are manufactured, sold, etc. Depends again on your interest.
Okay, okay. So do you think data science or machine learning can replace CMA or maybe CAs?
It cannot replace, in fact, the position that I hold in my current organization. There is a specific team which works on data sciences innovation and innovation, but it is not going to replace, because data sciences, data sciences, data analytics, machine learning are all giving me reports and analytics that I need to consume and present to the management. So it is not replacing me. It is not replacing any of the associates. It's only freeing up my capacity that I used to literally sit and do certain analysis. Now this AI or data sciences or data analytics is doing that to me. I have freed up some time of mine, and that time is going for some things which machine cannot do. There are still a lot of things which machine cannot do, because the analytics and reports which this softwares or machine learning or AI or data analytics is giving to me needs to be put into use, and that is what I'm doing.
Okay, okay. So how can we approach these big four companies for internship?
Most of them are, they post it on their sites as to the openings that are available. You could look into their sites and see if there are any openings, or you could just widen your circles. If you know any existing chartered accountants, reach out to them. It's a small world when it comes to, the people knowing each other one through the other. That is how it originally reaches the right person or the right places. But otherwise, you can, try logging into the websites of these companies, and they generally host any of the openings that are available there, including the openings for internship.
Okay. So should a finance grad learn coding, provided the amount of hype around the fintech world?
It's always an added advantage. And I have people in my team who are chartered accountants and are certified coders also.
Okay.
So, and where do they use both of it together? As chartered accountants, they have a very good knowledge of finance and business process, basically where the numbers are coming from. As coders, they are able to code as to how do they want a particular report to look like, or how best it can be turned into, or what can make this entire world of numbers easier. And when they mix these two capacities, there is nothing like it.
Okay, okay. So how do you start a career in trading?
Not something that I know very much about. I would like to accept that. But yeah, there are a lot of courses that are available. I think you should start with those courses in trading, because that will give you the basics of the trading. Trading, as simple as it looks, has a lot of dynamics to it. When to stay invested, when to exit, which companies to invest in, etc., etc. There is a lot of dynamics. There is a lot of science behind it. And if you want to start a career in trading, you definitely need to know a lot more. So there are courses that are available in trading, which you should definitely do before you pick up the career there.
Okay. So we have the last question for the evening. Can you please suggest good internship companies for BBA second year students in finance or related to management, but not in HR and marketing?
Okay. If I understand the question right, it is about which companies to go for internship for BBA finance.
Yeah, finance and management.
Finance and management. Again, I think you should, first option should be the big four. Look for one of the big fours if you get in there. That is the PwC, Deloitte, KPMG, EY. These are really good because they give you a lot of exposure into the field of finance and commerce. The next can again be the second set of huge manufacturing companies. And, we are fortunate to have a lot of them in India. PepsiCo, ITC, all days also take interns. So, you should look for, try out in one of these companies. The benefit of working in huge companies for internship is you can explore more on which is the area that you really need or prefer to get into after you have completed your course. That's the benefit of doing it in a big company.
Okay, okay. So yeah, the last question, which language in particular should we learn in coding?
Sorry, I do not know that. I'm not
Okay.
very much into technology, so I know my team members are taking it, but I do not know which language exactly.
Okay, okay, not a problem. Thank you so much, ma'am, for coming here, for giving us such an amazing webinar. It was a pleasure to have you here. And thank you so much to all the mentees for joining us for an hour. And thanks a lot. And a big thanks to the QFIS team for arranging this webinar. You guys can visit them at www.qfis.com. And we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks to all the attendees. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye bye.